you are aware of DISC, if you could please raise your hand so I will, or just leave it on the chat box so I have an idea. So if you are aware of DISC, you could just write a yes in the chat box. Dr. Pandita, if you will just keep it, okay, Gage says no. Just keep a lookout so that I know how many.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So far it is no.
Okay.
I think, ma'am, most of the participants are not very aware of the this
Just asking. Just asking.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you now see my presentation?
Yes, ma'am, it's very much visible.
Okay. So let me tell you about extended DISC. First of all, I need to tell you a little bit about the difference between, or maybe I'll do that later. So what I really want to tell you is that extended DISC is an organization, and that DISC is available from various organizations, right? So the agenda of today is to talk about the fundamentals of DISC style. I want to talk to you about what's your particular style and how to read the report. Has everybody got the report? If I could quickly hear some yeses, you could also.
Yes, ma'am. Most of them had, because it was shared on the WhatsApp.
Yeah, and if you have anything you want to share, you can share it in the WhatsApp group also. I'll just put that on. Give me a minute. Mm-hmm. Right. And then I want to talk about upping our game. So how do we use the information that we have to become better at what we are doing, right? The first thing, and this is a fundamental of DISC, is that no style is good or bad. This is at times very difficult for people to comprehend, because when they understand about style, it looks like some styles are more outgoing, are more organized than others. But we have to realize that every style has its good and bad, and the key that we need to understand is fitment. That means that for a particular role, a style is best, right? And as far as we go in teams, we need people of all styles. So this is one key fundamental of DISC. The next is that natural does not equal expertise. So one of the things that DISC explains is what is natural to you. The way I like to explain this is if we look at music, some people have a naturally sweet voice. That is what is natural to them. That's God gift. However, to become really good at singing, you need to do daily riyaz. You need to practice, right? And if we were to compare two people, one who naturally is very good but doesn't do any riyaz, and the other whose natural voice may not be that sweet but does a lot of riyaz. At the end of the day, the person who has done the riyaz will probably be a better singer. The reason I say this is because a lot of people, when they look at the report, when they understand it, they say, just because something is natural, it doesn't mean that that person is very good at it. And that's a key difference that we need to understand. And this is, again, a very, very important point, is that if you're highly motivated and trained, you can swim upstream. What does this mean? This simply means that, let's say, your natural style is not very detail oriented, you are somebody who is very fun loving, but you're very highly motivated and you're trained and you are a software programmer, what it means is that you can be a good software programmer. The only difference is that when you're doing something that's against your style, it is like swimming upstream. You're taking a lot more energy to achieve it, right? Now we come to the extended disc styles. Like Dr. Pandita said, we have four basic styles, styles that all people across the globe have: dominance, influence, steadiness, and compliance. So, somebody who has the basic style of dominance is direct, is results oriented, is firm, is strong willed, is forceful. Somebody who has whose basic style is influence is very outgoing, very enthusiastic, they're optimistic, they're high spirited, they're lively. Somebody with the steadiness profile will be even tempered, will be accommodating, will be patient, will be humble. And somebody with the compliance style will be analytical, will be reserved, will be precise, will be private, will be systematic. Now, let me take you a little deeper in these styles. So, if we look at dominance, what are their priorities? What are they motivated by? What do they fear? What will you notice? So, when you look at them, what do you notice? And what are their limitations? Very quickly, their priorities are getting immediate results, taking action, challenging themselves and others. They're motivated by power and authority, by competition, by winning, by success. They fear loss of control, being taken advantage of vulnerability. And you will notice self confidence, directness, forcefulness, risk taking. One of their major limitations is lack of concerns for others and impatience, insensitivity. Now, if we look at influence, their priorities is expressing enthusiasm, taking action, encouraging collaboration. These are the people who are the life of any place. They are the people who make projects fun. They are the people who connect a lot of people. They're motivated by social recognition, by group activities, by friendly relationships. They fear social rejection, disapproval, loss of influence, or being ignored. And what you will notice is charm, enthusiasm, sociability, optimism, talkativeness. Their limitations are impulsiveness, disorganization, and lack of follow through. When you look at steadiness, can you see me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
And can you see the presentation also?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if you look at the priorities of people who are high on S, it's giving support, stability, collaboration. These are absolutely strong team players. They're motivated by stable environments, sincere appreciation, cooperation. They fear loss of stability, harmony, or they fear change, they fear offending others. You will notice patience, team players, calm approach. They're good listeners and they show humility. Their limitations are that they're overly accommodating, they avoid change, and they're very indecisive. If you look at compliance, their priorities are ensuring accuracy, maintaining stability, challenging assumptions. They're motivated by opportunities to use expertise or gain knowledge, attention to quality. They fear criticism, slipshod methods, being wrong. You will notice precision, analysis, skepticism, reserve, quiet. And their limitations are that they're overly critical, they have a tendency to overanalyze, and they isolate self. Now, when you get these broad ideas of these four styles, you will notice that around you, you have people who are either a pure style or a mix, right? So let's look at this. Who do you know who is? And I'm going to give you a minute here to place the following people on the quadrant. Who do you know who is amongst you? When you look at yourself, which style are you predominantly? Which style is your director? Which style is your dean? Which style is the other faculty? And which style are your students? Can you take a minute and draw out this quadrant? So I asked you for some A4 size paper, right? If you could draw out this quadrant, right? So you draw out the quadrant.
Screen has gone off. It's not visible.
Okay. I was trying to see if I could see everybody now. Can we do that for 2 minutes?
Sure, ma'am.
Right? So if I could see everybody, and if everybody could please put on their cameras. Yeah. So give me a minute. I'm trying to put tiled. Okay, now I can see everybody. Great. So what I want you to do is to draw a quadrant, and in the quadrant, try your level best to put as many people as you can recognize. Right? So let's say you say, I myself am D. So you put yourself in D. If you find that maybe in your family, there's some other family member, and you can recognize that that person has those traits, please put that in there. If you have some students, right, and you can recognize immediately that this person belongs to this quadrant, please put them there. Right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and open up that quadrant for you. I'll give you 5 minutes. Please put it in there, take a photograph of that, and WhatsApp it to us.
Ma'am, I have one question.
Please.
Like, is there any possibility of perceptual distortion into this exercise? Like, while we are assigning somebody as an influencer, maybe
Okay.
that is our thinking on that particular person that he's like that.
You are right. It could be, right? There could always be perceptual distortion. However, when we actually do the assessment, then your perception is irrelevant.
Okay.
Right now, what we are trying to do is to conceptually understand that are we able to see somebody and see what their traits are and connect it back to a broad style,
Okay.
right?
To situations.
Each one of us is a very unique mixture of these four styles. None of us, or very few of us, will be 100% of one style. So we will be mixes. And when we actually certify people, we teach people how to assess, for example, somebody, how much percentage you are of what. Right? So it's not black and white. But for the purpose of understanding, for the purpose of getting conceptual clarity, what we are doing is we're saying, can we recognize people from their major dominant style, their major way of being? Right?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
So I'm now going to go back and open up the quadrant for you. Fair? So, who do you know who is high D, high I, high S, and high C? And I am looking at the pictures that you will shoot and put in the WhatsApp group.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yeah.
Can there be, shift from one quadrant to other quadrant? When we think of, even for example, if I think of myself,
Okay.
sometimes I see myself in quadrant I, and then I look at S quadrant. So is it possible that, as you said, that can be mixed sometimes?
You could be what we would call maybe an IS, right?
Right.
However, now you're asking a very deep question. Let's say this, that DISC believes that we have one natural style which stays the same across life. However, we are we are as human beings, we react to our environments, right? Which means that our our adapted style may change. That doesn't change who we are internally.
Okay, so what
But
you mean to say is, one is what we are naturally, and second is governed by the circumstances, or what is,
what is
what we
the
are getting to adapt it to.
yeah. So
Okay,
let's say you're in a particular job, right?
fine.
You people may see you behave in a certain manner. You may behave in a certain manner, right? You change your job. You're in a different environment. You behave differently.
And sometimes it so happens that it is the requirement of the position you are into.
That is what we are calling your adapted style.
Right.
This is how you are adapting to your environment.
Fine. Okay. Thank
But
you.
your natural style doesn't change. So you have to think of it like, let's say we are a statue. Okay? Um, Life will chisel on us. However, if the stone is granite, it is granite.
Got
If
it.
it's sandstone, it's sandstone. If it is marble, it's marble. That doesn't change.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, I specifically fall into IND. So what
Okay.
I will be, because I'm enthusiastic at the same time, I'm strong-willed and result-oriented. So how does it I take it?
So
Because
maybe you are an ID or a DI,
yeah,
and the result we will only know after we do an assessment,
okay, thanks. Bye.
right? But since when you've looked at the traits, you can feel with a certain amount of confidence that I come in this. Now, how much percentage you are of what you can't know,
Yes.
right? But you know that I'm this kind of person. At least you're very clear in your head. I am not the person who is
Yeah, I'm not in SNC. Yeah, I'm not in SNC.
right. Okay.
Ma'am, only you directed Dean, other fact, that's all. Just need to put them in 4 quadrants. That's all. Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to see that you can now connect this with people you know in real life,
Yes. Yeah.
right? So tell me, who is your student who is very compliant, right? Very.
Matlab, one student.
आप देखिए आपके आगे पीछे कौन लोग हैं, उन
हाँ.
लोगों को इन क्वाड्रेंट्स में डालने की कोशिश कीजिए.
But students, as you know, they're all very, very different from each other.
Yes, so choose one student. हर student का नाम है, ठीक है?
One student. Okay.
हाँ.
One student I'll keep in mind and write. Okay.
So that
Done.
student, आप उसके बारे में सोचिए. Let's say that student.
Easily, I have put them in steadiness, ever-tempered, patient.
So there's some of them who are like that. So if that person is Manoj, so Manoj is an S. There may be somebody else, right? Let's say Lata, who is very high D. All our students are very different from each other. Our family members are very different from each other. So I'm just trying to help you connect these traits with human beings.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, some people have done it. Let me see. I haven't got a single picture on the group. So when you finish what you're doing, then just take a quick picture and send it on the group. Okay. Okay, so somebody's just sent it to me, and the only issue is they have not shared anybody who is from the C group, from compliance. Please try and put one person at least in each group. So now I'll move on to try and help you get memory hook. At the end of the day, you have to remember who's what style. I have put 4 birds. The first bird is the eagle. The eagle actually exhibits a lot of the traits of the D style. The eagle flies very high. They are quite a lot of result oriented. The I is parrot. They're talkative, they're high spirited, they're lively. This is a dove. Even tempered, accommodating, patient. And the owl, which in Western culture is analytical, is reserved. We talk about the wise owl. This is only to help you remember what style is which. The eagle, the parrot, the dove, and the owl. So now let's go into understanding what's my style and how to read the report. So if everybody can quickly take out the report, that would be great.
I believe it is the same report which was sent to us, right, ma'am?
Yes.
Report. Okay.
And I am now going to move on to the report. Give me a second, okay? So can you see the report now on my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when I start explaining about the report, now is I think the right time to talk about how the difference between disk and an extended disk, what are the great things about extended disk, okay? So one of the things about extended disk is that it is very, very customizable. For example, the report that I shared with you is 31 pages, but we could have as much as a 200-page report, depending on what we want to add to the report. right? So that's one very big thing in my view. The second thing is it's very difficult to fake your disc style. What do I mean by that? Your natural style is, so we make people go through the assessment. The assessment is online. It gives you four options of, and there are 24 such questions. It is designed in such a manner that you will not be able to fake the assessment. The good part of this is because it is like this, this can be used for recruitment and for promotions. In fact, it is very widely used for these two purposes, right? The reason is you cannot fake your style. Another thing about DISC is that, extended DISC specifically, is that we have it in about 6 Indian languages. After I've said that, most of the times I've noticed is that people actually cannot do the test in an Indian language unless they've studied in that language. So, initially we got very excited about the fact that assessment Hindi, Bengali, Kannada, Marathi, Gujarati में है, but जो देखा गया वो ये है कि जब लोग उस लेट्स से हिंदी में टेस्ट करने की शुरुआत करते हैं तो उनको वर्ड्स ही नहीं समझ आते. So then they come back and say, please give us the assessment in the English language. And what I have noticed is you need to have a sophisticated vocabulary, which many of us don't have a very sophisticated vocabulary in Indian languages, even though our mother tongue may be Hindi. But जिस तरह की हम हिंदी बोल रहे हैं उसमें आपको बहुत nuanced adjectives समझ ही नहीं आते हैं, right? So let's go to this report. It talks about what is your disc style. Remember I said all of us are a unique mixture of a style. This particular sample, the style is IDS. That means influence, dominance and steadiness. सबसे ज़्यादा इसमें influence है, फिर dominance है, फिर steadiness है. अगर आप इस पेज में देखेंगे, I hope it is okay for me to speak in Hindi at times.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
सबको हिंदी समझ आती है ना?
Yes, ma'am. I believe everyone should be comfortable with it.
Okay, so if you look at this, this is what we call the narrative description. In words, we are quickly telling you the kind of person. Attributes kya hai, motivators kya hai, what does the person try to avoid, who would be an ideal manager for this person, what is their communication style, what is their decision-making style, right? So this is a very quick, you could call it an executive summary, you could call it a synopsis of the person's style. Then we go into a little bit more of depth, right? Now this is strengths and reaction to pressure situations. What are the strengths of this person? And the great thing about, like I said, it's very customizable, is these 3 questions are questions that I have added to the report because I think it helps me when I am coaching people, when I'm working on their individual development plans, to help them identify what are their greatest strengths, how are they using them in their current role, and how can you capitalize on them to progress your career. So these questions are added by me. And similarly, anybody who is working with this tool can add their own questions. This is reaction to pressure situations. हम इसको weaknesses particularly इसलिए नहीं कहते because it's not a weakness at this point of time. It is something that the person should be cautious about, because if he gets over enthusiastic or stressed, these weaknesses may become active, right? Stress के वक्त लोग immediately अपने natural style पे वापस आ जाते हैं. That's one problem. But the bigger problem is they show the worst of their natural style. हर style में there is a continuum of behavior. Something that's very positive and something that's not that positive. But जब आप pressure में आ जाते हो, तो you're showing the worst of your natural style. Really? Can I have water? And here again, there are 3 questions that I've added here. Then there are motivators and demotivators. What is it that will motivate this kind of person? Very useful information, both for knowing about yourself as well as people that you're interacting with. As professors, it would be very useful to know how to motivate your students. Yeah? How to get along with people. If you know how to motivate them, it really helps. Then you have demotivators. Now, this is another very interesting thing about the extended DISC report per se, because you have to understand that various reports show the same results differently. This is the way we show it. It is very graphical in nature. We've given a statement over here, right? And this is a Likert scale. This side, which is the minus side, is not natural to style. This, that is the positive side, is natural to style. Right? Now, this person is at somewhere like -1, which means this person, it's not natural to them. It's not very unnatural. But he's in the middle. ना ही वो इसके लिए बहुत natural है, ना ही इसके लिए बहुत unnatural है. But on the other hand, look at 5. Drawing conclusions based on people's emotions is very natural to them. The ones that are most required to be understood or to work on are those that are on the extremities, -5s and +5. So you will notice we have it on decision making, on communication.
May I interrupt you here?
Yeah, sure.
How we have made this assessment? Have we asked the person to mark this, or there are some observers who have done this?
Ask the question again. I have not understood your question.
It's like you have given one statement and then you are rating it on the scale of say -5 to 5. So who has rated it? The person.
Oh, good question.
Give me a minute. The observer has done it.
All this answer, the report,
yeah,
is generated only by the answers that the person, the respondent, gives on 24 questions.
Okay, and these 24 questions are not these, they are something else.
Yes, these 24 questions are 4 adjectives. And what we need to quickly isolate is what is most like you and what is least like you.
Okay, so on the basis of those 24 questions, you have rated it here on this Likert scale.
So very quickly, let me change what I'm showing you. Give me a minute, and I'll show you that. Okay, so now I want you to look at the report that you have in your hand, right? And I have shown you behavioral tendencies. This is the graphical representation that I've shown you. You can go, have a look at the report in your hand. So we are covering decision making, communication, sales, people management, team management, change management, time management style, goal orientation. You will notice that a lot of things are being mapped. But all of these things are being mapped from those 24 questions that the respondent themselves have filled out. So how will it happen is that they will go to a link online, they will fill out 24 questions, which will then go to a server, which is in Finland. And they will do all of this, and we'll get a report like the report that is in your hand. right?
Got it. Thank you.
Fair? So this is how we do the graphical representation. All of these are done in the similar manner. What is natural to style and what is not natural to style. And the one that we need to focus on are the extremities. जिसमें आप ठीक ठीक हो, ना बहुत अच्छे हो ना बहुत बुरे हो, उसका कोई फायदा नहीं उठा सकते हम फ्रॉम अ कोचिंग और फ्रॉम अ करियर डेवलपमेंट पर्सपेक्टिव. बट जिसमें आप या तो बहुत अच्छे हो या आप बहुत बुरे हो, उस पर ध्यान देने की जरूरत पड़ती है. Now, if you look at page 22, this is about reflection. There's some questions that you are supposed to reflect on. Then you have development tips, page 23 पे है. Then you have disc pies and 4 quadrants. And this quick reference is to give people an understanding of disc if they have not gone through a session like this. So it tells, things like what should you do with somebody who's of this style, what you shouldn't do, how to communicate with this style, how not to communicate with this style. This is a quick reference at the end. I want you to have a look at this because these are the 2 technical outputs. Everything else a person can understand without being a certified person, right? These 2, which I'm going to now show, is what is the quote-unquote technical part. The interesting thing about DISC is we can see 168 styles visually. Do you see these small?
Yes,
yeah. Now, what does this mean? This means, and we don't have to do it physically, the machine does it for us, but this means that this is that person's style, his natural style, right? This is where the person's adapted style is. This arrow shows that. Now, if the person's style is this, the ones that are dark gray, this is styles where they, with time, a person's profile can shift. You see, over time, there's some shifts that occur. These are these gray areas. These light gray areas are places where a person can shift given enough training and education.
Like, ma'am, it may depend on the situations also, like the person can shift from one area to the other one. Is that possible? Like if somebody is going through any kind of a situation in which he is feeling bad, so maybe the style may differ at that time. He is emotionally low. So,
Okay, who's speaking?
I'm Vidhi, ma'am.
Okay, so Vidhi, I'm going to in the next page explain the difference. Okay, so just hold on till the next page, and I'll try again and differentiate the 2 things for you. Okay.
Okay.
In this one, what you need to understand is that this is where the person is. This is where the person can move given a little bit of time or given. Yeah.
If you are using cursor, we are not able to see the area where you are telling the person is and where he can move. So
You can't
if you
see
would
my
use
cursor?
the cursor, then it will be easier for us to understand.
Can you see the cursor?
No, ma'am.
So what do I do? What were you suggesting?
Ma'am, there is a cursor I know because yesterday Sahu sir was using it, some red dot or something.
Okay, let me see.
Ma'am, that cursor has to be downloaded, and ma'am is using now a pointer, I believe.
Can you see it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you can see it in presentation mode, or are you seeing it in PPT mode?
In PPT mode.
Okay, so if you can see my cursor in PPT mode, let's stick with that right now.
Yes,
see, this is where the red area is where the position of the profile at this moment. The light gray area is what we call the natural flexibility zone. This is the area where the profile will shift with time. Dark gray area is this area. Can you see it now when my cursor is moving?
Yes, ma'am.
ये जो डार्क ग्रे एरिया है, ये है easiest development zone. And the white area is the most difficult development zone. It requires a lot of effort. Now, let me try and explain to you with the next slide the difference. Okay? And I'm going into, or maybe I'll just stay in PPT mode. Okay. जो हमारा natural style है is this one, profile 2. This is what we are. This is like being that granite or that marble or whatever stone we are saying we are. Natural ability kya hai? Everybody's clear on this? I need to know something.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is what is natural to us. Now, okay, so this is what is natural to us. This means that given enough training, given effort, you will do much better in the styles which are kind of natural to you. This doesn't mean that you cannot exhibit behavior that's not according to style. For example, they might be a person who is very peace loving, right? Very high on S, doesn't like to get into any issues or into any hangama, but there is a situation where they feel that they are being taken advantage of or are being pushed around. That person can also get angry and start yelling. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they're exhibiting behavior that is not natural to them. The difference between the two situations is if it is natural to you, it is not taking that much energy. You don't have to be so focused. But if it is not natural to you, you have to spend more energy. You have to be more focused that I have to show this behavior. When I started off, I talked to you about, going upstream. And I'll take you very quickly back to that slide. It might help you remind. So when you're working against your natural style, you are going upstream, which means it takes a lot more energy. Understood, everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now let's come back to this. These two are what gives all the information that we need in all the pages. So in all the pages, you are doing those graphical representations, right? All of it is derived from this. So a person goes online, they fill those 24 questions. From those 24 questions, these two graphs are made. From these two graphs, this is made. Okay? From this, we get all the text that we get. वो जो सारा report है, वो इन दो graphs के बीच के ऊपर से इन दो graphs की interpretation से बनता है.
What is the first graph is indicative of, like profile 2 is the natural style?
Profile 1 is your perceived need to adjust. That
As
means
per the role I am playing?
as per the broad role you are playing. What I mean is this doesn't change moment to moment, right? This changes, let's say, so we say your perceived need to adjust is how comfortable you are in your current environment. And your environment is not only work environment, it could be at home, it could be in society.
Maybe socially acceptable behavior.
May or may not be socially acceptable, but the way we look at it is, this is the behavior you think you need to exhibit to become successful in your current role.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I cannot, in such a short time, take you over what these numbers mean. Okay, because somebody has asked that, Namita has asked that. These are percentages, but how do we interpret the percentages? It takes a lot of time to understand that, as well as you know, what do these points mean? But I can tell you this, that we look at this graph, compare it to this graph to give all the interpretation that we do. Right? And you are not to be very worried about this कि आपको ये ग्राफ समझ नहीं आ रहा. आप जब टेक्स्ट पढ़ोगे तो इस ग्राफ के बेसिस पे सारा टेक्स्ट बना हुआ है. The only advantage is that if you're certified, then with one page you get the entire snapshot. That's all. Okay, so now let's move on. To upping our game. So this is what you see. Before this, all that I have been showing you is what we call a personal assessment. A personal assessment is an individual's assessment. This is a team assessment. We call this a team map, right? Can you see my cursor?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if you can see the cursor, fantastic. Each dot over here in this map, which is called shotgun map, right? Each dot over here is one person in the team. So if you look at this team, what do you see? You see that there are very few people in the D quadrant. Does everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. So the other thing that you need to see is, how do I style flex? What does that mean? If I am a particular style and I am interacting with somebody else who's from another style, then to be very effective with that person, I have to make some adaptation. So let's look at this once again. And here I will require everybody to start sharing their opinions, right? So you'll have to put your cameras on, okay? Let's say you are a C person. That means you're analytical, you're reserved, you're precise, you're private, you're systematic. But you have to deal with somebody. Let's say this person is another faculty member, person you have to deal with very closely. And they are of an I style, right? So they're outgoing, they're enthusiastic, they're optimistic, they're high-spirited, they're lively. So how will you style flex with these people? I can't hear anybody.
So it means we have to accommodate our style.
Yes. So you have to adapt your style.
So is it, ma'am? Just in the back of my mind was going. Is it the same what we do in PAC? Is it ego states, wherein we are interacting with the people with different ego states, whether that is parent, child, and adult ego?
Look, in transactional analysis, we are looking at things a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
And in transactional analysis, we are saying that you are changing your ego state every moment of the day.
Right.
Right? So you do not have a standard ego state. However, in this, we are saying you have a standard natural style.
Because when we are accommodating our style, somewhere we are trying to, adjust our ego style as well. So will they go hand in hand?
Can I suggest, Dr. Pandita, is that you see, whenever you will make an adaptation, right, you will be adjusting a lot of things.
True.
Okay. However, I want you to think about it that right now you're dealing from the adult ego state. So let's remove the other two ego states and assume we are operating from adult. Because it is only from the adult ego state that you are using your brain and saying, look, this is how I want to adapt. Here, what the adaptation you're saying is, look, this person is different from the way I am. One way of operating is saying, मैं ये हूँ, मैं ऐसे ही बिहेव करता हूँ, तुम्हारी मर्जी है तुम मेरे साथ डीलिंग कर सको या नहीं कर सको. एक ये मेंटल फ्रेम है, ये वे ऑफ बिहेविंग है. दूसरा मेंटल फ्रेम ऑफ वे ऑफ बिहेविंग ये है कि देखिए मुझे और आपको इकट्ठे काम करना है. टू बी more successful with you, let me talk in a language that you understand. And this is what we are saying. I'll give you an example, just so that it starts making sense. जो I person है उसको लगेगा जो CA person है वो बहुत बोरिंग है, बहुत किचकिच करता है, and सारा वक्त बस डेटा ही करता है. जो C person है उसको I person के बारे में लगेगा ये तो कुछ फोकस करता ही नहीं है, राइट. काम टाइम पे करता नहीं है, काम ठीक तरह से करता नहीं है, मिस्टेक्स निकला दी है उसके काम में, राइट. और सिर्फ फन की बातें कर रहा होता है, मतलब इधर उधर की बातें करा लो इससे. When I'm saying this, does some interaction in your life come? Do you remember such a thing? What about the rest? Where are the rest?
Yes, ma'am. It happens a lot of times.
You have seen that happen, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, if I was to look at the other states, you have this dominant state, right? And if they have to deal with people of steadiness, these people want fast decisions. These people don't like making decisions at all, right? This person is, if this person doesn't like something, आपको भी पता होगा, उसको भी पता होगा, पूरे गांव को पता होगा. They are very vocal in what they don't like. However, a person who is of steadiness style may not like something and you won't even know. तो कई बार
hi, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but just a question that has just popped in my mind. We see a quadrant and then we see a vertical line and a horizontal line. So to understand better, is there any dimensions for these two vertical and horizontal lines where we are coming up with compliance? And so that, when you're talking about flexing your style, right? So if I'm high on dominance, then I need to understand that what are the dimensions that I need to stretch myself to work compatible or to establish a compatibility with someone who's high on steadiness. So what are the dimensions that these if there are?
They are. So, Parul, I'm going to very quickly take you through the dimensions. We are not going very deep in things, right? So I'm just going to touch upon it and then move on. These dimensions and disk was created by a gentleman called Moulton Marston in 1928. So it has been now 92 years since the disk styles have come about. ठीक है? तो उन्होंने क्या किया? He took two dimensions, two axes from the works of Carl Jung, in which Carl Jung had described the psychological types. He took two dimensions. The first dimension is this one, active and passive. This is the passive end. This is the active end. Okay? And the next dimension he took was task and people. Okay? So it is the combination of task and active that makes D, of people and active makes I, people and passive makes S, and passive and task makes C. Okay? But once we've divided this, we need to look at it a little bit more from the style perspective versus the axis perspective, because now these are combinations. Two axes have combined to create a particular style. Am I making some sense, Parul?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So
Okay. So
let's
you have given us the reference point. So, and coming back to your question, like you said, how would we establish compatibility with if I am high on C and somebody who's high on I, right? That is the
yeah,
question. Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so as I could make out from this description there in the quadrant, so people high on I are outgoing and enthusiastic and probably high spirited, and you said high on people, right?
Yeah.
So if I have to interact with or work with such a people, then probably I would make sure that I assign tasks which, or maybe I make sure that whatever tasks that we are doing together is more of people orientation than concentrated on things like numbers, or where you require a lot of focus, where a steady person would be more apt at doing it. And also because since they love a high spirited and lively, enthusiastic, outgoing, then probably I think we need to maybe some awards, recognitions. Just a vague idea. That is what I'm coming to my mind. I'm not sure whether I'm right or not. You may correct me.
Right. So, two, three things that I want to point out here. You might not have an option of what is the work that you have to do together. Right?
Okay.
Just like I'm just throwing something at you. Just see if it makes sense. Both of you are faculty, right? There's an activity that needs to be done, so that means that the person is not subordinate to you. Now what? It changes the dimension a little bit.
Yes, it does. It does.
It changes the
Very much.
dimension. You are no longer boss and subordinate, or in any way senior and junior. The key then is, how do I communicate with the other person that makes sense to the other person? There are very small things that are different. For example, people from the C category like having written documentation. I people don't even read anything in documents. They're the presentation kind of people. उनको बोल के बताओ क्या करना है. ठीक है? So if you are somebody who's from the C side, right, and you're dealing with somebody from the I side, you need to understand कि आपने है ना 15 पेज का डॉक्यूमेंट भेज दिया है, उन्होंने नहीं पढ़ा और ना ही वो पढ़ने वाले हैं.
Bullet points, I think, then would work.
बुलेट पॉइंट्स में लिखो और फिर शायद फोन करके उनको कहो कि एक बार फटाफट से डिस्कस कर लेते हैं. Because that person is not going to do it. Similarly, if you are I style, आपको लगता है कि जी हम आजकल तो मिल नहीं रहे इतना, बट लेट्स से आप फैकल्टी रूम में बैठ के चाय के ऊपर थोड़ी सी गपशप मार ली और बता दिया क्या है, वो उससे खुश है, वो उससे खुश नहीं है. सो अगर आपका कोई आइडिया है तो आपको उसको थोड़ा सा डॉक्यूमेंट करके भेजना पड़ेगा. Am I making sense?
It's
Yes.
making sense. Yes, complete
So
sense.
we have to adjust ourselves like accordingly if we want to flex the style of the other person.
No, I mean, it's not if I want to flex. Nobody wants to flex. We are most comfortable doing what we are good at. The reason you're flexing is because if you flex, you will be able to get better results. आप लगे रहो उस बंदे के साथ. आप 15 पेज का भेजो, फिर आप रिमाइंडर भेजो, आप फिर रिमाइंडर भेजो, और जब मिलेंगे उन्होंने नहीं पढ़ा होगा, बोलो क्या कर लोगे उनका. Or have I only met such people?
No, I think everyone here would have come across.
Yeah, And have you met such people who are so bad at presenting कि आपका मन करता है कि आप क्या कहें, मर ही जाएं? Right? I have worked in a number of business schools myself. Okay. And some of the faculty is so boring. उनको सब कुछ आता होगा. But it is so boring कि दूसरे बंदे का फोकस रहे या नहीं रहे वो बहुत ही मुश्किल है. Now, let's say you are that person, and I'm not saying any of you are. Most probably क्या issue है? You are in the CS category. You know, you're not that person who's snappy, who's showing a lot of energy. अब आपको ये बात सोचनी है कि अगर हमारे स्टूडेंट्स के सामने हमें अडेप्ट करना है तो कैसे करेंगे? And I've met a lot of people who have made that effort and have adapted. For example, maybe you need to move around a lot more. Right? Maybe you need to plan कि देखो मेरा अगर natural tendency है तो मैं हर चीज बहुत डिटेल में बताऊंगा. Is there anybody who has that tendency that we can tend to go in massive detail? But because my students may or may not need that detail, also क्या मुझे सब कुछ बोल के बताने की जरूरत है या मैं उनको कोई एक हैंडआउट दे दूं या मैं ये समझ लूं कि देखिए I may like it in a particular manner but other people will not. Can I make my handouts, like somebody said, by bullet points? So these are different things. The thought that is behind this is they say that there is a golden rule. The golden rule used to say, treat others like you want to be treated. But now we're talking about, with extended disc, what we call the platinum rule. गोल्ड से ज्यादा महंगा है प्लैटिनम. प्लैटिनम रूल क्या है? वो ये बोलता है, ट्रीट अदर्स द वे दे वांट टू बी ट्रीटेड. आपको एक चीज अच्छी लगती है, आपके लिए बहुत नेचुरल है कि आप वैसे ही बिहेव करें, बट अगर उनको वो अच्छी नहीं लगती, इट्स अ प्रॉब्लम. Right? And this is what we are talking about. This very key concept of what we are calling style flexing. If anybody has any questions, please let's go. You can feel free to ask me here. Any way you think, I can help you adapt, use this in real life, please ask me here, because the next slide that I'm going to bring up is about how can we use this information to become more effective. And I would like to start this session, this portion, by sharing a little bit about my story. I got acquainted with DISC in 1998. So it's been a lot of years for me. The interesting thing is that first time in my life, I realized that other people are not doing things to irritate me. Anybody of you has felt that? कि ये पता नहीं ये ऐसे क्यों behave कर रहे हैं, मुझे irritate क्यों कर रहे हैं? Right? And it was so exciting a discovery for me that I started, I think it started my career towards training, etc. I got an opportunity to, at that time I was visiting faculty with a college called Skyline Business School. And though they had got me to do other subjects, like at that time I was doing integrated marketing communication with them, मैंने उनको बोला देखिए मैं ये तभी करूंगी जब आप ये भी मुझे समझाने देंगे बच्चों को. Because for me it was a path, path opener. कि देखिए, all of us are not the same. We have different kinds of people, and different people like and dislike different things. And different people think and behave in different manners. Right? It has helped me because at that time I was in sales. So it helped me in my sales career. I fully credit this for making that movement. I started with Skyline Business School, and then I taught at ICFI Business School. I taught at BIMTech. I did some work with IMA. Everywhere, this change, I think, was because I started understanding that there were so many things जो हमें, जब मैंने मैनेजमेंट डिग्री की है, मुझे तो नहीं बताया गया, और मुझे लगने लगा ये ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है. If we can learn how to deal with other people, it is perhaps more important than knowing. Because if you look, and it's becoming increasingly more important, if you look at it, at a point of time, knowledge was only with a couple of people. Today, knowledge is not a problem. In fact, information is absolutely not a problem. आप internet पे जाओ and you get whatever you want in a second. I don't know if you are experiencing this, but we definitely are. That because, you know, as trainers, as coaches, आप एक word बोलते हो या classroom में हो, और उतनी देर में लोगों ने अपने mobiles पर पूरा description ढूंढ लिया है. So you are no longer the person who is providing the information. Right or wrong?
Yes, true, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Now the question is, what is it about you that is better than them just seeing it on the internet? And that we have to now move with the internet. We cannot, frankly, we cannot get them away from it. And we should not even try, because we can work with it. So in my sessions, so I definitely ask people, please Google करके बताओ क्या है. उन्होंने करना ही करना है. Right? So that is, I think, some things that are very important. I would want you now, we are at 7:19. We have a session till 7:30. Am I right, Dr. Pandita?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now we have 10 minutes, right? I want you to very specifically on that sheet of paper, please take an A4 sheet of paper, write start, then leave a little space, then write stop, and 3, write continue. And then reflect on, given the information that you now have on personality, and it's not only my session, you've been obviously having a couple of sessions. How will you use that information in your teaching, as a professor? You could also add that, how will you do it as a family member? Please feel free to add all of those. Please feel free to add all of those, but at least for this. Give me a second, please, guys. Vivek, can you please not? Okay. So if you could open it up and start writing, and whatever you feel comfortable sharing. If you could share it on the chat. So what you're going to start doing new, what you're going to stop doing, and what are you going to continue doing? That means you're already doing it, but you don't want to forget.
So, are we having any options for like what to start and what to continue, and or we just have to right?
Now-
What comes to us naturally?
What comes to you naturally?
Okay.
You can ask me. You can ask me if I think that's a good thing to do, right? I'm there. Anybody who wants to ask any comments that come in the chat, we will discuss. But see, I don't know your personal styles. I don't know what you're doing in the classrooms, but you know, right? Are you having classes in person now, or are you doing it online?
Online, ma'am, like we are taking online sessions.
Okay. So I'm going to read out what we are getting from the chat, and I think that would be so stop judging, continue respecting, and start bonding with everyone. Fantastic. Stop judging. This is a very, very big one. One of the things that we tend to think, and it's all of us, and I would really appreciate if people put on their videos so I feel like I'm talking to a group rather than of peers, of people from the same fraternity. It'll be good for me also to see lots of faces. All of us are suffering from lack of human contact, right? One of the things that goes on in our heads is जैसा मैं हूं, जो मैं कर रहा हूं वो सही है, और जो हमसे अलग है वो सारे गलत है. This judgment is very natural. So if we can just bring this thing that there are many ways of being right, we will ease a lot of stress for ourselves also and for others also. Because it's not only others that is a problem, it is हमें भी problem होती है उससे. जब आपके माइंड में होता है कि ऐसे ही बंदे को करना चाहिए, या यही सही तरीका है, या ये मुझे तंग करने के लिए ऐसे कर रहे हैं, तो इमेजिन आपको भी तो स्ट्रेस हो रहा है, right? Respect is a very big thing. Start bonding with everyone. You will find it is a lot easier to bond with people if you can get what is their style. So remember I showed you that these are the broad characteristics of the 4 styles. Trust me, it is easy to figure out who's what style. People are shouting it. It is there in the words they choose, in the way they speak, in the way they move their hands. Right? So once you can understand what their style is, at least what's their major style, then you can bond with them by flexing towards them. अगर आपको पता लग जाता है कि इस बंदे को ना बहुत doesn't like too much enthusiasm, I'm telling you, S&C style don't like somebody very loud or very enthusiastic. उनको घबराहट होती है ऐसे लोगों से, right? Then if you are somebody from the DNI style, you have to learn कि मुझे अपने आप को थोड़ा टोन डाउन करने की जरूरत है. ऐसा नहीं है कि जितना ज्यादा ऊंचा बोलूंगा उतना वो जल्दी कन्विंस हो जाएंगे, right? Start and continue. These instruments have shown that humans are so different from each other in a zillion different ways. I need to work harder to understand others and be more tolerant about everyone else. I have only one thing to say here. Yes, human beings are different from each other in zillion ways. However, unless we can categorize people in a useful manner, we cannot apply knowledge. So if we work with the thought, everybody is unique, that's fantastic. But then we cannot do anything with that knowledge. Right? When we create broad categories, we are saying that these kind of people are like this. And therefore we can do something, change something, do something to adapt. Am I making sense on that? And I notice people are still not putting on their cameras.
No, ma'am. Can I intervene?
Yes, of course.
I didn't understand that. See, as an individual, I do not have the time or the opportunity to create an instrument or use an instrument and find a category and then respond to him as a category.
Okay.
If I were to instantly understand
Mhm.
that he exhibits certain personality traits like
Uh-huh.
those that you have showed on the screen,
Uh-huh.
I have a ready solution to respond to him. If I may bring an analogy, uh,
Uh-huh.
I don't need to go to a doctor for a prescription if I have a cold.
Mhm.
Probably I can use a shortcut and go to the medicine shop and buy something very quickly on the basis of, how shall I put it, common wisdom,
Okay,
past experience.
I've understood what you're saying, and I think I have then said what I was trying to say in not so correct a way. Let me step one step back and say what I was saying in different words. Would that work for you?
Go ahead,
All
please.
right. Let
Go
me
ahead, go
try
ahead.
with different words. I'm saying, and I totally believe, okay, that each one of us is unique. Say, each one of us is unique. However, unless we have some kind of a map or some kind of categorization, there is no way there's no way it is useful information. For example, each of us is unique. However, because with DISC, we are putting people in 4 categories. Therefore, we can use that common wisdom that you're talking about. तो ऐसे लोग जरूर होंगे जो सी हैं, बट उनको जो हम कर रहे हैं सी लोगों के लिए हो सकता है उनको अच्छा नहीं लगता, but it's common wisdom now. Am I making sense?
Yes, but just as a rejoinder to that,
Huh.
what happens if I enter into a situation where I meet a person for the first time?
Huh.
I don't have a category chart in front of me to say that he is compliant, therefore I have to respond to what I see is immediate behavior, which is
Huh.
maybe a few. He is polite, he is quick, and then respond to him quickly. I don't have a chart in front of me.
You're absolutely right, right? And I remember I told you a little bit about my background. For a good 10 years of my life, I was using DISC, what I would use the word intuitively. What is intuitively? Unless आप HR में हो, आपको कोई अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं मिलती कि आप किसी को बोलो कि ये रिपोर्ट है, ये लिंक है, आप रिपोर्ट कीजिए और मुझे रिपोर्ट मिलेगी. If you're in HR, whoever wants a job will do it. Your company people will do it, right? But if you're in sales, your client is not going to do that. Your peers are not going to do it for you. And I was in sales and marketing. So how do we make that judgment? We are using what we call a guesstimate. You're guessing, and rightly, you're guessing on those few parameters. Is the person polite? What is the kind of volume that the person is using? Right? I's and D's use a much higher volume. How much excitement is there in their voice and on their face? Right? There are many eyes who look as if they're all the time they're high. मतलब वो सारा वक्त ही ऐसे लगता है भले भले करके आए हैं. आपको इमीडिएटली फेस देख के समझ आ जाता है कि जी ये एस और सी नहीं हो सकते. Similarly, how people dress. So all of these are just these are just indicators, and you're then using a informed guess. आप guess करते हो सकता है आपका guess गलत हो, right? But it's better than not even trying. So if I meet somebody and I quickly guess that, you know what, this person looks like they're an S, then I will be more careful, not that pushy, ask them for their opinion a couple of times because वो खुद से तो बताएंगे नहीं. It is a guess. Everything is a guess unless you get them to actually do the assessment and have a report in front of you. Once you have a report in front of you, then it's 100% you can rely on that. But anything beyond that is your observation power and your understanding of the styles. Then we have somebody said start priority with positive frame of mind, continue taking others along, and stop within the tolerance limit of the group. ये मुझे किसी को समझाना पड़ेगा. I haven't really understood. Okay, and I really
Yes, madam, this is for me. What is priority? While you are going to start, you have to see to start going to priority only, because we are the students. You are asked just as a teacher how you express yourself when you are dealing with the students. So we have to see what is the priority. But take start with a positive frame of mind. With positivity, we should proceed. And
Okay.
second is we have to continue taking the team along with you.
Absolutely.
Continuity. First part is priority with positive frame of mind. And lastly, we have to stop when others are not responsive. It means they have lost their tolerance limit. So we have to either we have to motivate them further, or we have to stop there. So when we are telling something, they are not understanding. So these things are starting point is positive frame of mind and priority. Continuity means you have to take the people along with you. Continuity. And third part is you have to stop this. You have to stop within the tolerance limit of the group. That's what it means.
Okay, fantastic. I totally agree with what you're saying here. Absolutely. I want to share a personal anecdote. I don't know if any one of you have experienced it, but I am talking about 10 years earlier. That means I was maybe 15 years earlier, 10, 15 years earlier, right? So I was a lot younger at that point in time. I was in my early 20s. And what I would find is, with a lot of the management school, between classes, एक faculty room में हम लोग इकट्ठे होते थे और चाय पीते थे. आपके यहाँ ये होता है या जब जब जाते थे तो ये होता था, right? अब एक इशू जो मुझे फील होना शुरू हुआ, and this is because of who I am, कि कई लोग they would sit in the faculty room and they will say things that were not very pleasant. For me, even this was not pleasant. अगर आप बोलो आजकल के बच्चे ना बहुत बदतमीज हो गया, वो सुनते ही नहीं, वो ये नहीं करते. I started feeling कि अगर मैं ये बात सुनूं, तो मेरे को ये मतलब क्लास में भी ये फीलिंग आनी शुरू हुई. Then I decided that I will not sit with people who have this mentality. Because if I don't start with the positive frame of mind that this generation is a very smart generation, हमसे ज़्यादा smart है, ठीक है? It is true कि उतना hard work नहीं करते, but they have their own good points. And unless I focused on that in my classroom, वो उनके लिए तो बुरा होता ही होगा, but मेरे लिए भी बुरा होना शुरू हो गया. I started feeling, यार मैं क्यों एफर्ट कर रही हूँ इन लोगों के साथ, इन पे तो कोई असर होने वाला नहीं है, right? And therefore I am very glad कि Professor Jugesh Chandra has put it upfront कि positive frame of mind, giving a positive meaning. If you cannot give that positive meaning, it will be detrimental not only to that person, but to you also. Each one of us wants to believe that अगर हम एक क्लास ले रहे हैं, एक सेशन ले रहे हैं, तो कुछ फायदा हो रहा है ना. Supposing I come to this session and I feel I'm speaking, but nobody is listening, it is not going to make any difference. It will impact me also. I will also not have that energy. I will feel, yaar, kya hai? The next thing is an assessment instrument is a great approach for self-appraisal and self-discovery. Absolutely. It recommends action for transaction with others. Adults don't like to be told about themselves. And such instruments are a godsend. I totally agree with it. We work with a lot of senior people. Senior managers, senior people in government, they are not used to hearing anything. कोई भी talking back नहीं होती. Most of the times कोई उनसे कुछ बताता ही नहीं है. Especially nobody tells, you are failing in certain things. The good thing as a coach is that मुझे उनको बोलना नहीं पड़ता. Typically वो report पढ़ने के बाद वो मेरे से आके उस बारे में बात करना चाहते हैं. For a lot of them, this is the first time they've heard it. Nobody has told them. And unless somebody tells them, how would they know? So I totally agree about this, that it's a godsend. And Dr. Pandita, when you cross time.
Yes, ma'am, you can take a couple of minutes to wind it up.
Okay, so I'm just going to quickly read the rest. Start to be optimistic, continue to forgive others, stop hurting others, absolutely being empathetic and respecting individual differences. All very, very important.
One question can I ask?
Yes, of course.
We are just talking about 4 styles, and there are billion people on the world, and yes, we are interacting with 100 people daily. Again, if I'm talking from the faculty point, because we might be taking 2-3 classes.
Yeah.
So how easy it is to put the people in this 4 quadrant? Because now, as you have made me thinking, I find a lot of people whom I am thinking about, I'm not able to praise them, because somewhere I'm seeing them that they have lot of questionism is there. They are a lot of scripter, but again, their voice might not be so low. Then I'm putting somewhere in S quadrant, but then as you said, their volume is very high. So I'm a little bit confused.
Okay, so I'm going to answer this question in 2 parts. Even though there are a billion people, or actually 7 billion, 7.5 billion people in this world, DISC is able to put them in 4 categories, right? In fact, in a lot more nuanced manner than even 4 categories, but it is possible. That's the first answer. The second answer, which you're saying, is that you're confused about where do I put this person, because koi trait yahan ka dikh raha hai, koi trait wahan ka dikh raha hai, right? Now, the only way you can be 100% sure is if the person takes the assessment.
Mm-hmm.
But if the person doesn't take the assessment, there is also a possibility that the person is a mix of 3 traits.
Okay.
जो मैंने आपको वो report दी है, that person is a mix of 3 styles. The person is an IDS. That could be a reason why आप different traits देख रहे हो.
Okay.
However, जिसको भी आप देखोगे, कुछ चीज होती है जो डोमिनेंट है, सबसे ज्यादा वही दिखता है.
Okay.
Right? And as an individual who is just looking at people, you can at least say कि सबसे ज्यादा, this seems to be most important to this person.
Okay. Because again, I'll say that the behavior again changes as per the situation. The situation के अनुसार at the time the person becomes, goes in steadfast, and again as per the situation he may go into dominance.
I agree, but there's something that is true about us in all situations, right? And that is what is natural to us. All of us will see. You will
normally the person behave is his true style, because generally in stress maybe he is at the extreme of that particular style, depending upon whether it is a negative stressful situation or is it as a positive stressful. So what the person is in natural setting, that is his dominant style.
The style that is most natural to that person is their dominant style.
Okay.
Because of your innate traits rather than the acquired traits.
Yes. Let me tell you that it is visible. Even in young children, उनका style visible होता है. And I will end on this small anecdote, if it makes any sense. Good. My son is very clearly a D. And it was very clear, very young. He wanted control. There was, matlab, he has his constant complaint is because I'm young, what I say, what I want is not considered properly. मतलब जो elder लोग हैं उनकी बात का has more weight. This is who he was and this is who he is. I remember that now this is many years ago. He might have been in the second standard. How old would be second standard would be around 7. So one day I didn't have time, so I told him, look, you're going to this party. ये दीदी हैं साथ में, ये उनको मैंने पैसे दे दिए हैं, तुम वहां से गिफ्ट लेना और पार्टी में चले जाना. This was in Ambience Mall. So there was a Reliance ka, and then there was this, I don't know, Bluo or some, these fun zones were there. So he managed at 7. He managed to go to the store. He managed to get a gift. इतना ही फर्क था कि अगर मान लो मैं खुद करती तो 700-750 का गिफ्ट ले लेती. उसने 1000 का गिफ्ट लिया, 1000 रुपए दिए, उसने पूरे का पूरा खर्चा किया. Okay. Next time he is telling me, why are you wanting to come? Just give me the money. I can go and buy a gift by myself. I'm like, nahi, I gave you an exception once. Right? I'm not ready yet to give you full मतलब छूट नहीं दे रही हूँ. वो एक दिन मेरे पास वक्त नहीं था तो मैंने तुम्हें दे दिया. So there are people who are very confident, very young. And that's not because they're confident, it's because they want independence. For them, that's very important. He used to keep wondering, why do Didis come to school to change their, his friends' clothes? तुम खुद क्यों नहीं change कर सकते हो? Because he was the kind of person who would struggle, but वो खुद ही करेगा. वो किसी का help लेने में he didn't like it. And it didn't matter he was 3 or 4 or 5. Style is very visible. Think of it as people screaming their style. We need to learn how to hear what they're saying. After I've said that, there is obviously a difference between a guesstimate and an instrument which gives you the results, and you can be 100% confident on it. Right? It's been an absolute pleasure being with everyone. I hope you can take this information and make a difference. I can tell you from personal experience, it really helps in classroom management. It's really helped me. It's really helped me in sales. It's, I think, even really helped me in my marriage. Because like I said, first time I realized people are not doing this. My husband's not doing this to irritate me. That's who he is. ठीक है, वो उल्टा काम नहीं कर रहे, वो ऐसा ही काम करेंगे. Right? And with this, I'm signing off. Please do go over the sample report. It will give you a more in-depth understanding of what can be taken out from this report. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for taking us so deep into this disc, which probably we started with this thing that we were not having any idea about what disc is all about. And what I feel that a person who is who is a natural may not be an expert, but the idea is to sharpen their natural style and become an expert. And we got to know about our leadership style through yesterday's LSI metrics, and today what Ms. Kumar took us through disc style, which she said cannot be faked probably. since it focuses on your being natural. And one good takeaway was that weakness is something which you are cautious about. It is not something which is to be, hidden or something like that, or which you need to, but it is which is making you very cautious. And every time that is in front of you, you need to mend it away, or adapt and do something about it. And what exactly she said, that because when we are natural, we don't have to exert our energy, and when you have to be adaptive, it requires more of your energy. And so you have to become very comfortable in naturally what you are. And style flexing cannot have a common yardstick, what I believe, what I could gauge out. So what I could make out, that you need to customize it according to the person, or maybe a colleague, or any individual you are dealing with. So it has probably given us a food for thought. And what ma'am rightly said, that these are the instruments basically which are helping us out in taking decisions. But ultimately, it is left to your wisdom and your understanding how to use these tools. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us such an interesting session. So I would like to now request Dr. Vidhi to just honor your efforts for taking us so deep into the DISC and its applications. Now, may I kindly request Dr. Vidhi to please press enter and present an e-memento to Ms. Kumar. Please, Dr. Vidhi.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow, this looks really good. I've never heard of an e-memento.
Madam, you can take a photograph of this.
I'm expecting you to now give me a photograph of this.
Sure. I'll request Professor Pankaj to take a screenshot of this, please. So it was wonderful being with you, ma'am, and taking us through all these assessment and making us understand wholeheartedly about the DISC. So before wrapping up today's session, may I kindly request Professor Pankaj Chauhan to please share feedback attendance link. Thank you so much, Jai Hind and Shubhratri. Thank you so much once again, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And now I am logging out. I will just very quickly send you my email ID. This is for anybody who wants to get in touch. Right? Also, so that is my email ID. I respond on my emails. I'm a little late, but it's not that I don't respond ever. I will, better post in WhatsApp group. I will do that. Another small thing is that we've recently written a book. It's on coaching. I will share the link with you. And if any one of you are interested, the next time we do a free giveaway, we'll certainly send you that link, right? It's been an absolute pleasure. I will put that on the WhatsApp group.
Thank you, ma'am. Pleasure was absolutely ours.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Dear participants, kindly fill in your attendance and feedback form.
I need help. I am unable to see how to, yes, leave.